Today, I'm going to add one amazing superstar using every college football program. The goal is to construct a roster to win a Super Bowl in just one season, but we have to fill out the entire roster by using one college alumni from every NFL team. This means we cannot add more than one player from the same NFL team to our roster, which definitely makes this more challenging. I put over 50 of the very best football colleges onto this wheel, and I also included a bonus slice on the wheel, which we'll get to in a little bit more detail later. But let's give the wheel a spin and see which college we have to pick a player from, and it lands on the Clemson Tigers. First person that comes to mind is Trevor Lawrence, but unfortunately he's only rated a 76 in Madden, and I don't really think that's going to help us win a Super Bowl. After scrolling through the list of all players in the NFL, Dexter Lawrence is the highest rated Clemson alumni in Madden. A couple other options are AJ Terrell, DeAndre Hopkins, and Travis Etienne. I'm definitely not passing up on 95 overall Dexter Lawrence, and he'll be the first player on our team. And now that we add the first player to our roster, we can no longer add another player that's on the Giants roster, and the Clemson Tigers are now removed from the wheel. As we spin the wheel once again, it looks like the next college we have to pick a player from is going to be Auburn. The best two choices from Auburn is Derrick Brown and Jamel Dean. Both would be great choices to our defense, but I decided to bring over Derrick Brown to play alongside Dexter Lawrence. There will be plenty of really tough decisions I have to make throughout this video, and I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section on who you would have picked from each college. Moving on to our third wheel spin, it's going to land on Stanford University. And I know one superstar that played college football there, and that's Christian McCaffrey. And he will be our starting running back on the team. This has been a really good start, but if we are unable to fill a certain position on our team, we will have to sign a 70 or below rated free agent player to fill that spot, which will ultimately hurt our chances of winning a Super Bowl. Right into the next wheel spin, it looks like we have to use the University of Minnesota. But after looking at this list, Antoine Winfield Jr. or Rashad Bateman are the best option. Antoine Winfield is one of the top young safeties in the league, in my opinion, so it's an easy choice here, adding him to our secondary. This has been a dream start for our team, with the next college we have to go with is Utah. Not a whole lot of amazing options other than Jalen Johnson, who will definitely be our first quarterback on the roster. And just like that, we have knocked off a total of 5 NFL teams so far. It feels like a good time to tell you about the bonus slice on the wheel. If we land on it, we can pick any current player from one of the remaining colleges on the wheel. Oh, and we can potentially land on it more than once, as we will not be removing it from the wheel. After spinning the wheel once again, it's going to land on, come on, no, Illinois. So close to getting Texas Tech and adding Patrick Mahomes as our quarterback. But it's Illinois, and the best options are Nate Hobbs and Devin Witherspoon. Definitely gotta go with Witherspoon, and he will join Jalen Johnson at CB2. Keeping this going, the next wheel spin lands on LSU. This is such a great spin, as we have so many amazing choices like Joe Burrow, Justin Jefferson, and Jamar Chase, who all won a national championship together. And as much as I want to bring in Joe Burrow to secure a QB, there's no way I'm passing up on 99 overall Justin Jefferson, and he'll be our wide receiver number 1. Technically, we could still get Joe Burrow if we land on Ohio State, since that's where he started his collegiate career. But moving on to the next spin, the college we have to select a player from is Kentucky. As I scroll through the NFL, Josh Allen is the highest rated alumni from the University of Kentucky, and he will join our defense. Spinning the wheel twice, and the two colleges we could pick players from are Florida State and North Carolina. Florida State has produced plenty of great NFL superstars like Jalen Ramsey and Derwin James. But obviously, it has to be Jalen Ramsey, even though we already have 2 cornerbacks on the roster. As for North Carolina, not many options, but I decided to bring in Javonte Williams, who will back up Christian McCaffrey. With those 2 spins, we will officially use 10 NFL teams, and our offense is looking pretty good with Justin Jefferson and Christian McCaffrey leading the way, while the defense has plenty of superstars already. And after spinning the wheel, it lands on Virginia Tech. Unfortunately, we cannot go with Tremaine Edmonds since we already used Jalen Johnson and the Bears, so the next best option was Wyatt Teller, who will be the first offensive lineman on our team. Continuing on, the next player we add to our team has to be an Arkansas alumni. A couple solid options in Frank Ragnow and Cameron Curl, but since Ragnow is a much higher overall, he's definitely going to be the choice at center. We still don't have a QB on our roster, so I'm really hoping we can land on Alabama or Ohio State soon. But after giving the wheel a spin, it lands on UCLA, and although we can't go with a quarterback this round, we can either go with Colton Miller, Kenny Clark, or Eric Kendrick. We have a bunch of good pieces on the defense, so I opted to take Colton Miller to join Frank Ragnow and Wyatt Teller. So let's spin the wheel twice here, and 2 colleges that we have to pick players from are Georgia Tech and Texas. Barely any options for Georgia Tech, bringing in Shaq Mason as our left guard. And as for the Texas Longhorns, we'll go with Bijan Robinson, but we already have 2 running backs, so let's bring in Justin Tucker. I know this might be a wild selection, but he is the best kicker in the NFL. Moving right into the next round, the wheel finally blessed us with one of the best teams in college football, the Michigan Wolverines. And I'm quite sad that we can't bring in Aiden Hutchinson since we already used Frank Ragnow from the Lions, but we can still go with players like Rashawn Gary, Kwity Paye, Michael Nwenu, Jabril Peppers, and Brandon Graham. All will be pretty helpful for the team, but let's bring in Rashawn Gary to play alongside Josh Allen at outside linebacker. And with that, we officially knocked off 16 NFL teams from the list, and our team is coming along better than I expected. With an elite offense featuring Justin Jefferson and a defense that has Jalen Ramsey, we are definitely looking good to complete our goal of lifting the Lombardi Trophy. We'll have some work to do, and after spinning the wheel, we can add a player who played at the University of Florida. Best options are Kyle Pitts or CJ Gardner-Johnson. You can definitely use either player, but let's go with Kyle Pitts to be our tight end, knocking off the Falcons with that selection. I'm not gonna lie, I'm starting to regret not taking Joe Burrow from LSU. But moving on to a couple more wheel spins, it lands on Boise State and then Purdue right after. Not a whole lot of options for either college, other than DeMarcus Lawrence from Boise State and Jawan Bentley from Purdue. Both solid players, and they will be joining the defense. It would be so nice to land on bonus right about now. Nope. But at least it's going to be Tennessee. Trey Smith, Alvin Kamara, and Joshua Palmer are all solid options, but we might as well help our offensive line by adding Trey Smith from the Chiefs. The team is starting to really come together, and with just 12 NFL teams left, the next wheel lands on Baylor. This is definitely not the best college we can land on, but at least we can bring in Terrell Bernard to join our linebacker core. And right into the next round, the wheel lands on Georgia. I would have loved to bring in Nick Chubb, but we already used the Browns. But I want to bring in George Pickens from the Steelers as wide receiver number 2. The next couple of wheel spins lands on the Washington Huskies and the Ohio State University. Easy choice adding Buda Baker as our strong safety. And as for Ohio State, Terry McLaurin as wide receiver number 2. And the next wheel spin lands on South Carolina. I'm really not sure which players we can go with, but after looking through this list, Javon Kinlaw and Ernest Jones are the 2 options. So let's go with Jones from the Rams. Okay, I'm really starting to panic here since we will be stuck with a 70 or below rated free agent quarterback if we fail to pick one in these next 7 spins. And here we go. Spinning that wheel once again, and it lands on BYU. Unfortunately missing out on Fred Warner and Puka Nacua. But I guess we could bring in Taysom Hill, who can play tight end and fullback, which isn't too bad. And just when I was about to give up hope, the wheel comes up clutch, landing on bonus. And I don't even have to think about it, bringing in Jalen Hurts as our quarterback. Since we get to keep bonus on the wheel, we do have to remove either Alabama or Oklahoma since he played for both colleges. We are now down to the final 5 NFL teams that we can use, so I decided to spin the wheel twice, landing on TCU and then USC right after. As for TCU, the best available option is Quentin Johnson from the Chargers, and he'll slot in at wide receiver number 4. As for USC, there's a couple solid options like Tyron Smith, Elijah Barrett-Tucker, and Michael Pittman Jr. But since we can use a tackle, let's add Tyron Smith to the team. Just missing a couple more players, and the next wheel spin lands on Kansas State. Not really sure which players are left, but after looking at the remaining rosters, it looks like our only option is Julius Brents from the Colts, and he'll join our secondary. After spinning the last 2 wheels, they land on Wyoming and Mississippi State. Only 2 options from the remaining teams, and that's Logan Wilson from Wyoming and Jeffrey Simmons from Mississippi State. And just like that, we have used 1 college alumni from every NFL team. And our offense is looking amazing with Jalen Hurts leading the way and Jalen Ramsey leading that defense. Opening game of the season against Baker and the Bucks didn't start great as Jalen Hurts ended up fumbling the ball on their opening drive. Luckily, the team of college's defense got a much needed stop, and on their very next drive, Jalen Hurts throws a great pass to Terry McLaurin before handing it off to Christian McCaffrey, who truck sticks his way into the end zone for the first score. Just before halftime, the team of colleges get on the board once again with this short touchdown pass to George Pickens. The rest of the game continued this way, and the team of colleges easily wins their first game of the season. And after simming the rest of the season, the team of colleges finished with a 12-5 record. We now take on the 9-8 Seattle Seahawks in the wild card round. And this game started off well for the team of colleges as they scored their second touchdown right before halftime to take a 10-point lead. Jalen Hurts and that offense continued their strong play with Christian McCaffrey scoring his second touchdown of the game. They ended up defeating the Seahawks 34-23. Next up, we take on the 11-6 LA Rams. It was all team colleges as Jalen Hurts throws a beautiful pass over the middle to Justin Jefferson for the touchdown. The Rams couldn't find their offense, and it was all team colleges scoring a few more times, going on to win by a huge score. We now head to the NFC Championship game, but the 14-3 Niners are the opponent. In the second quarter, the team of colleges were down 7. Christian McCaffrey answers right back with a touchdown run. And right before the second quarter ended, Terry McLaurin makes an incredible catch, and a couple plays later, he makes another catch in the end zone to take a 4-point lead. The second half started with Christian McCaffrey breaking a tackle and taking it the rest of the way for a 42-yard touchdown. The Niners tried to get back in the game, but Jalen Ramsey intercepts Brock Purdy's pass and takes it back for a touchdown, putting this game away, and we are now heading to the Super Bowl. Lamar Jackson was named NFL MVP of the season, and we now take on his 16-1 Baltimore Ravens in the Super Bowl. And the game kicked off with Lamar Jackson rolling out and throwing an absolute beam to Rashad Bateman for a huge pickup. Lamar Jackson then used his legs to score the first touchdown of the game. The second half was back and forth early with both teams scoring, but late in the third quarter, Jalen Hurts has plenty of time before throwing it up to George Pickens in the end zone, and he hangs on to it. After forcing the Ravens to punt the ball, Jalen Hurts and the team of colleges keep their foot on the gas as Hurts connects with George Pickens, who ends up beating his defender, taking it 72 yards to extend the lead to 10. Faced with a fourth down, Lamar ends up taking a sack thanks to Josh Allen. Hurts and that offense end up taking plenty of time off the clock before Christian McCaffrey scores a touchdown to put this game away, and the team of colleges end up winning the Super Bowl over the Baltimore Ravens. If you enjoyed this video, you definitely want to check out where I use one NFL player from every state in America. We'll find out if they were able to win the Super Bowl.